Hey you guys, what's up? Atrocitos54 here, and welcome to part 2 of my vinyl collection. I actually have a chair to sit in this time around. I really don't know why I didn't think of that sooner, because in the first part I was literally sitting on my table. And yeah, I had this chair in the room the whole time, and I don't know why I didn't think to use it, but I'll be a lot more comfortable during this part. But as I said, it's the second part of my vinyl collection, so if you haven't seen the first part, go check that out, because obviously there will be some records I've had that I won't be talking about in this part. But yeah, let's just get right on started with the second part. So the first one I have for this part is Kamikaze by Eminem. A very, very underrated project by Eminem. You'll hear me say underrated a lot in these videos, but this is a very, very underrated project from him. This album has only gotten better and better as time has gone on. It's aged beautifully, and it has some of Eminem's greatest, absolute greatest material to date, like The Ringer, Lucky You, Not Alike, and Fall, which is my favorite song from this album. And this vinyl looks really cool because this is actually like it's like a, kind of like a darker green album. It looks like printed on a bit of a darker green vinyl. I know there's one exists that's like a red camo version, but I think that one's like extremely rare. And I was happy to even just get the green one because, I mean, colored vinyls are really cool anyway. But, you know, like it's, I forgot the thought I was even going to say. Jeez. Mine's going everywhere. Next one I have is Kanye West and Kid Cudi's Kids See Ghosts. I mean, I know this was, feel like this was a big album that helped a lot of people's mental health, including mine. This and Ye are the ones that like really, really helped me a tremendous amount. You know, really, really good album. Reborn is an absolute masterpiece. That's my favorite song from this one. Cuddy Montage is also another one of my favorites. You know, there isn't a bad song on this one, really. You know, Feel the Love, Fire, Fourth Dimension. Every song on here is good, but definitely Reborn is most definitely the clear masterpiece of this album. Just such a absolutely beautiful song. And, you know, another one of my favorite album covers, like, in a while. Like, just look at how beautiful that looks. Oh, now the next one we got, absolute classic. What, you know, one of the most classic rap albums of all time, and that is License to Ill by the Beastie Boys. I'm actually wearing a Beastie Boys shirt right now. Um, yeah, basically, like, as far as I know, this was like the first rap album to really enter the mainstream. Because back in 1986, like, I feel like this album was like all anyone ever listened to, because this thing was absolutely huge. Um, yeah, no, absolutely, absolute classic. Got a really nice image in the gatefold there. I'm pretty sure this one isn't colored. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's not. It's just like a regular black one. When I bought this, they actually did have a colored one at Sunrise Records, but I didn't want to get it because I think it was like $10 more or something like that, and I'm like, I don't need a colored vinyl that bad. But yeah, my favorite song on here is, I'd say it would be No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Some other great ones like Brass Monkey, Fight for Your Right, and She's Crafty is a really, really great one that no one talks about, but She's Crafty is a very, very overlooked track from this album. You know, as I said, an absolute classic, one of the most classic rap albums that has ever been made. Rest in peace, Adam Yauch. It really, really sucks that he died. You know, and it's like, I can only imagine the music the Beastie Boys would be making today if they were, if Adam Yauch was still here, because like their last album, which was Hot Sauce Committee Part 2, which was that was in 2011 or 12 maybe. I think it was 2011. Like, you know, that was like pretty recent. Like, that was only like 10 or so years ago, and they were still bringing the heat, bringing the bangers, bringing the talent. Like, what a great album right here. And then the next one, whew, talking about some more classics. And that is the Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem. One of, like with License to Ill, one of the most classic rap albums there really ever was. Eminem made people listen with the Slim Shady LP. People loved that. He made everyone pissed with this one because, when this came out, like this had everyone up in arms. Everybody was like every like parent and like church group, I think, was like after Eminem for songs like The Real Slim Shady and Kim and The Way I Am. A whole bunch of amazing songs on here. Like Stan is an absolute masterpiece. But you guys obviously already knew that. The Real Slim Shady, The Way I Am, and Kim. I feel like no one talks about Kim on here. That song is I didn't know such brilliance existed in rap. Like it's the scariest and most stressful song I've ever listened to. He's like so fucking angry throughout the whole thing. I'm like, I didn't think you could put anger that well into a song, but he really, really did with this. One of the things I would almost like to see is I wish that this vinyl had included The Kids, which is actually the song that replaced Kim on the clean version of the album. And The Kids is a pretty good song, but I can definitely see why they would have replaced Kim on the clean version of the album, because there's really no way you can censor that. It's like when they removed FAC from the clean version of the Greatest Hits album that Eminem put out. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal album, an absolute classic. I definitely say Kim is my favorite song on here, but it alternates between Kim and Stan because they're both just masterpieces. Now, here's another one that I think, one of the few that I think is probably a bit of a modern classic, because this album was pretty huge. And, I mean, I'm sure you've guessed by now that I'm a big Eminem fan, so you should know what's coming next, and that is the Marshall Mathers LP 2 by Eminem. I originally thought that this was better than the first one, but I think that might have just been because, like, I grew up with this one. I actually gave them the exact same rating, but after like re-listening to the first Marshall Mathers LP, I think that one's the better one. But this one's still so amazing. Like, as I said, I grew up with this one. I was in 7th grade when it came out. I remember listening to Survival on repeat. Like when I'd be like doing my assignments at school, just listening to that on repeat. And again, more of his best material on here, like Bad Guy, uh, Berserk, Rap God, The Monster, Headlights. I really love how he made. I really am so glad that he made Bad Guy, because if you guys have never heard this album or if you've never heard that song, Bad Guy is actually a sequel to Stan that is actually rapped from the perspective of Stan's younger brother who blames Eminem for his brother's death, and it's great. Really, really great song. All around amazing album. Like, this album really was huge, so I think this will be a classic in due time. I'd say my favorite song on this by far would have to be Rap God, because as I'm like thinking about like, the greatest rap songs of all time, I really think Rap God might just be the best rap song ever made. Because that song, the amount of skill and the level of talent is absolutely insane. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I heard that Rap God was actually like Eminem was like did that like freestyle. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I heard that somewhere. And if that's true, then that just makes it even more impressive. Again, amazing album. If you haven't heard it, please give it a listen. And there were some critics that gave this like a bad review as well. Like what the fuck is Pitchfork thinking giving this a 4.7? Like, you heard me talk about it with Camp. Sometimes they got really, really dumb, really, really dumb ratings for things. Now, the next one, this one I actually haven't finished, and I really should, because I've listened to the first side, but I haven't listened to the second side of it, and that is the Do the Right Thing soundtrack. Nathan got this for me last Christmas. Yeah, I've only heard like the first side, which is Fight the Power by Public Enemy, My Fantasy by Teddy Riley, Party Hardy by EU, Can't Stand It by Steel Pulse, and Prove to Me by Perry. Yeah, some really good songs on here. The use of Fight the Power in the movie is definitely, I think it's iconic, really. Like, Do the Right Thing is an absolutely amazing, amazing movie if you guys haven't seen it. Like, an incredibly important movie, too, because it's really sad how the themes of that still ring true today. But yeah, as I said, still haven't finished the second side of this album, and I really, really should, because the soundtrack's pretty good. Now, the next one is another Eminem album, and that is Music to Be Murdered By. Ugh, this album got me through the pandemic. I mean, I know the pandemic's still going on, but this album got me through like everything like the pandemic before, and it's still now it is. This is like this is now my second favorite album of 2020 because it was originally at number three, but then like after listening to this so many times, it ended up moving up to number two. And honestly, this might end up going up to number one because I've just listened to this thing so many damn times. Like it's my god. Again, more of Eminem's very best material comes on here. Like Godzilla, which I would say would probably be my favorite track. Oh no, wait, no, not Godzilla, but it's like Godzilla and Stepdad alternate between being my two favorites because the skill and rhymes on Godzilla are insane, but then Stepdad it's a wonderful revenge tale that just gives me chills and gets me fired up every time I hear it. It's amazing, but you cannot forget, and people don't give this song nearly enough love. No Regrets. Fucking blissful. I love that track. Easily the best thing Don Toliver's ever been a part of. I don't hate Don Toliver. I really like him. But No Regrets is easily the best thing that Don Toliver has ever been a part of. The hook on that is just straight bliss. The Eminem's like rhymes are really, really great. Like the stuff he raps about on that song is amazing. But then there's like Those Kind of Nights, You Gon' Learn, Unaccommodating, Ya Ya, Never Love Again, I Will. Just every song on here is just amazing. I love it. And this is actually trying to make sure I didn't forget any. Okay, I did not forget any colored vinyls, so that's good. But this is actually a colored vinyl. I don't think it'll show up on the recording because Kamikaze was a bit of a brighter green. What this looks like here is actually, what color is that? Like, can you guys tell? Like, to those of you who own this album on vinyl, can you tell me? Because this, to me, it always has looked like a bit more of a darker green, but as I'm looking at it in this light, it almost looks like a translucent brown or black, maybe? I'm not actually sure. But yeah, absolutely amazing album, although I went through hell and back just to get this on vinyl because the vinyl release date got pushed back so often, which I'm kind of mad about because they ended up releasing Music to Be Murdered By Side B on vinyl, which I really should have waited to get, but one, I didn't even think Eminem was going to be putting out a deluxe edition of it, and, didn't know that was going to be on vinyl either. Now, the next one, my favorite album of all time, and that is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. I literally could just completely like skip over talking about this one and you guys would all know what I'm saying because it's the best album ever made. I really do think it is. It's like Dark Fantasy would be my favorite song from this because Dark Fantasy is actually my second favorite song of all time. This is like, Dark Fantasy, All of the Lights, Power, Gorgeous, Runaway, Devil in a New Dress, So Appalled, Lost in the World. And by the way, the Runaway short film that Kanye West directed that came with the deluxe edition of this on CD is perfect. Amazing, amazing short film. Definitely check that out if you're a Kanye fan and you haven't seen it. Yeah, absolutely amazing album. Just, as I said, the best of all time, I think. And this is a pretty good vinyl package. It's got like a changeable like cards in here, so it's like all the different artwork from the album, so you can like choose which one you want. The only thing that sucks is, so on my vinyl player, it's a little bit, it was a bit on the cheaper side, and the thing is, what I've done is I've used Gorilla Tape on the head of the needle and put an eraser on it to make sure that the album doesn't skip, because, it puts weight on the needle, so it makes sure it doesn't skip. The thing is, I can't close the cover on the record player as long as I have the eraser on there, and when I tried doing that when I was listening to this, it ended up scratching the vinyl that has Monster on it. Actually, I think I'll try and show it to you if I can get it out. This is a very awkward way to hold this. Is this? Yes, it is. I think I can actually see it kind of clear. Is that it? Just trying to make sure. Yeah, I think there it is right there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's like right there. Yeah, so that really, really sucked, but thankfully, it doesn't skip over like too much of the song, but it really, really sucks that, that happened. Um, but regardless, still, as I said, an amazing album. I know I've said that a lot about this thing, but it's just absolutely phenomenal. And if you haven't heard it, you definitely need to hear it. If you've never heard a Kanye album, I'm not too sure if I'd recommend this one to you first. I'd probably recommend the College Dropout to you first if you've never heard a Kanye album. But yeah, best album ever. Now the next one I got is Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys. This was their second album. And I kind of am torn between if I think this or License to Ill is their best. Jeez, I don't even remember what I have them in my ranking as of right now because I think both of these albums are really, really great. It's very it's always really hard to choose between the two because both of these albums are really great. But this is probably the weirdest vinyl release I have because so you see this, it folds out into that, and there's literally, I'm not gonna show in detail, but there's literally 4 sections you can put the vinyl in. So you'd think, oh well, then the album was probably put onto it was probably put onto multiple records. No, it was only put onto one. The whole thing is only put onto one record, and yet there's 4 slots that you can put it in. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But and that's the thing. It was only put onto one record because it is actually a pretty short album, but it even has the B-Boy Bula Bice. I don't know how you pronounce that, but it has the B-Boy Bula Bice, all the ones that was put on here because this is the 20th anniversary edition of the album, so it has all those on there. And guys, actually listen to those B-sides. They actually are really good. Unlike a lot of other albums where the B-sides are really just no one really cares about them, because that sometimes happens with a lot of projects where the B-sides are not even that great or even worth mentioning. The B-sides on this are really, really good, actually. But yeah, as I said, great album, definitely recommended. It didn't even do well when this album came out. It did not do well commercially or critically, and now it's known as one of the most influential rap albums of all time and one of the best. Next one is another one that I think is definitely a modern classic, and I feel like most people would agree with me on that, and that would be Recovery by Eminem. Another one that really, really has helped me a lot in tough times. I would have to. Oh, by the way, my favorite song off of Paul's Boutique would have to be either. Oh, sorry, I forgot the title of one of the songs for a minute. It would have to be either Shake Your Rump or Looking Down the Barrel of a Gun would be my favorite off of Paul's Boutique. My favorite song off of Recovery would have to be either Talking to Myself or Spacebound. Both of those are amazing. Another album that really, really got me through a lot of tough times, and I feel like you literally could not escape hearing Love the Way You Lie on the radio on repeat all the time back in 2010. That's why Rihanna's chorus on this is literally permanently etched into my brain because I heard it so many times on the radio. I think Love the Way You Lie was actually the second rap song I ever heard, the first being Gold Digger by Kanye West. But yeah, tons of great stuff on here. As I said, Talking to Myself, Love the Way You Lie. Hold on, I can open up here. Cinderella Man, Spacebound. Sorry, some of these are upside down. No Love is really great on here too with Lil Wayne. I really wish Eminem and Lil Wayne would do more collaborations because I think they've only worked together 3 times, which that needs to change. There needs to be more Lil Wayne and Eminem collaborations, if you ask me. Now, next one is another one that I think might also be a modern classic as well, because this was one of 2 albums, the other being Dirty Sprite 2 by Future. This is one of 2 albums where it really felt like a new sound. This was only a year or so after people like Iggy Azalea and Macklemore were the hottest things. But when these two albums released, it was like kind of putting them in the dust. And I don't hate either artist. I like both Macklemore and Iggy Azalea from what I've heard. But it seemed like they were just like being put in the dust. Like, you know, Future, and I should say what the album is. It's Rodeo by Travis Scott. It seemed like Future and Travis Scott were just, when they came out with these albums, they were just like, yeah, step aside. This is a new era that we're stepping into. And that's really what this album felt like, that you were truly stepping into a whole new door of hip hop. You know, this isn't my favorite Travis Scott album. My favorite is Astroworld. I cannot wait for Utopia. Like, my hype for that is so high. Um, but this album is absolutely great, and it took me way too long to listen to it. Like, I had listened to Birds in the Trap, Sing McKnight, and Astroworld before this, and then I finally got around to listening to it, and it's absolutely amazing. I'd say my favorite song on this is definitely 90210. But then, you know, there's also like Apple Pie, Antidote, you know, lots of really great songs on here, very consistent in quality. I don't know if this has um the bonus tracks. I think it might. I don't remember, like, because I looked at the records before and I don't remember if they actually have the bonus tracks on here or not. But I remember the bonus tracks when I listened to this thing were really great. Um, yeah, you know, if you haven't heard Rodeo, absolute must listen to. It's really great. And then the next one I have is my third favorite album of all time, and that is the Slim Shady LP by Eminem. This is the expanded edition, which has it has like 10 uh extra tracks. There's these acapella tracks called Hazardous Youth and Greg. There's Bad Guys Always Die from the Wild Wild West soundtrack, and then there's like radio versions and instrumentals of Guilty Conscience and Just Don't Give a Fuck, and there's an instrumental to My Name Is as well. Yeah, as I said, my third favorite album of all time, my favorite Eminem album for sure. The Marshall Mathers LP is great, but this is my favorite one. I think I've probably laughed the hardest from this one. My favorite track on this would probably be My Name Is. You know, it's such a classic. It's so good. But then, like, you know, Guilty Conscience, 97 Bonnie and Clyde, Come On Everybody, Just Don't Give a Fuck. You know, lots of amazing songs on here. And this is a great vinyl package too. And I didn't pay too much for this because this is the expanded edition, which is normally always like $65 at least. And I think I paid like 57 if I'm not mistaken. But it's a really great package because it's got like a really, I'll just show you like a little bit. It's got like some cool like images in there, and it's got some really great it's got a poster in here too that looks really cool. Yeah, Slim Shady LP. You know, a lot of people like say that it hasn't really aged well. I don't think that at all. This album is perfect. The next one is another one that's in my top 10 favorite rap albums of all time, and I think one of the first rap albums I actually listened to from start to finish, because I was not an album person when I was younger. I was a person who, like, you know, I would listen to, like, you know, only a few songs that I just came across, but this was one that I actually cared about to listen to the whole thing, and that is Straight Outta Compton by NWA, which is definitely another, like with License to Ill and Paul's Boutique, one of the most classic rap albums there is, and this is on a beautiful red vinyl, like red and shiny. Look at that. Yeah, amazing album. Like Straight Outta Compton, Fuck the Police, Gangsta Gangsta, probably the best 3-track run in rap history. The only thing that sucks about this vinyl is it's missing 3 tracks, so that's why, like, when I get vinyls, I make sure to like pay attention to the track list. But yeah, because it's missing Something to Dance To and 2 other tracks. I don't remember which. It's missing the 8-Ball remix and Something to Dance To and 1 other track, because there's 13 tracks and there's only 10 on here. But really amazing fucking album. You know, if you haven't heard this and you're a rap fan, what the hell are you doing? Go listen to this right now. This is another album that might be end up being a bit of a modern classic. As I said, I usually hate using that word, but that's, there's a few albums that I actually do think deserve that title. This is one of them. It's the real reason like why I hate like using it is just because, as I said, people use it for literally everything that comes out that they think is really good. Like, as I said in part one, like, it has to, you have to like really just give it time, like see how it's aged, and then you can use uh, the classic term. But next one up is "Take Care" by Drake. This is my favorite Drake album, definitely. My favorite track on this one would, it was between the Motto and I'm blanking on it. I think it was "Shot for Me" was the other favorite one that I had. Um, yeah, definitely in my opinion Drake's best album. One I really really want on vinyl, and I hope it comes out soon, is I really want "Certified Lover Boy" on vinyl. That is like the best thing Drake has put out since this album, I think. "Take Care" was one where Drake like definitely came into, he really like fully came in to his place in hip hop, because on "Thank Me Later" he still sounded like he was like a bit like timid or like unsure of what he was doing, mostly on the song "Over," like when he says, "I know way too many people here right now that I didn't know last year. Who the fuck are y'all?" It's like he was still like a bit intimidated by this new world of fame, but on "Take Care" he came into more of it. It's a very very it's a very emotional album, one that's like you definitely listen to if you're in your feels a little bit. But it's also got some bangers on here. As I said, "The Motto" is great. Yeah, definitely Drake's best album. Check it out if you haven't. And by the way, my favorite track on "Straight Outta Compton" would either have to be the first three tracks on the album: "Straight Outta Compton," "Fuck the Police," or "Gangsta Gangsta," and I didn't forget any others. Next one I have is "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket" by Blink 182. This is my second favorite Blink 182 album behind California. My favorite track on this would definitely have to be "First Date." It's amazing. A really great party song. And it's the song that you can almost see yourself listening to after you have a first date with somebody. That's what I get from it. But also, like, "Happy Holidays, You Bastard" is a hilarious song. I listen to it year round, but I listen to it so much during Christmas. It's like literally like 30 seconds long, but it's such a great song. Anthem Part 2, "The Rock Show." Another really great album that Blink 182 came out with, like with "Enema of the State" coming out, you'd think, oh no, like what if there's like a slump? This was not a slump. This was an album that was even better than "Enema of the State," I think. Oh, and we just keep coming to the top tens here, because here's another one that is in my top 10. It's actually my number 6 of all time. Almost in my number 5, but it's my number 6. And that would be "Teenage Dream" by Katy Perry. This is my favorite non-rap album of all time. Besides being just some of the best nostalgia fuel for me, it's just fucking fantastic as a pop album on its own. Like, my favorite song on here, it's really hard to choose one. Like, "Last Friday Night," "Teenage Dream," "California Girls." Like, literally the whole first, like, two sides of this record is, like, the favorite tracks, really. But a really super underrated one that no one talks about on here is "Circle the Drain." I love that song, and it's so nostalgic for me, because I remember listening to this album so much when I was, like, end of elementary school, just about to go into middle school. So amazingly nostalgic for me. But as I said, the whole album, really, besides the nostalgia factor, is just fantastic. Yeah, favorite track, I guess for now I'd have to say "Circle the Drain," or maybe "Last Friday Night." It's so hard to choose. This is another really great vinyl package, because this one's actually also printed on a white vinyl, like with "Funeral." And one thing that's really cool is it actually comes with alternate sleeves to put the vinyl in, like the peppermint pinwheel things here. I should put the records in here because I have them and I haven't put them in here yet. Um, I was also gonna say that the Paul's Boutique vinyl also had an alternate sleeve that I forgot to show. But yeah, easily my favorite non-rap album of all time. Can't wait for whatever Katy Perry comes out with next. God, I love this album so much. Next one is one that was in my top five of 2018. One that I think everybody was very, very happy to finally get released, and that would be The Carter 5 by Lil Wayne. My favorite Lil Wayne album would be The Carter 4, but I don't know if I like this or The Carter 3 more. It's really hard to choose because The Carter 3 is absolutely amazing too. Like these are like right on the same level as each other. I'd have to say my favorite track off this one, and this is another really hard one to choose. I don't know, probably Mona Lisa, just because like the storytelling on that is fucking wild as hell. Yeah, this album took a long time to come out. It took like what 4 or 5 years, and then finally Wayne got all the legal shit out of his hair and put out a really great album that I was really glad we finally got to hear because this thing is just fantastic from start to finish. It's long, like it's an hour and a half, but you'll never feel bored throughout this whole thing. Amazing, amazing project. I gotta kind of make this quick because now I only have 6 minutes left on the timer. But the next one I have here is Underclass Hero by Sum 41. This is one I bought the same day I got California, and I still haven't opened this one. I literally still have not opened this one. So you know what? I am gonna open this one right now for the video. I'm gonna open this right now. It's been too long since I bought this, and I haven't even opened it yet. There we go. So there's that, and let's take a look at the gatefold on the inside. That looks pretty cool. Like that, it's like a bee and a butterfly. That looks really nice. And I'm not entirely sure, but this might be a colored one. Is it? Wait, is it? I can't actually tell. Oh, that is so nice. So I thought I saw it and I did. So this is actually like a pink and black like splatter on here. Like, oh, that looks amazing. I've never actually like had one that's like a splatter before. That looks really, really cool. But yeah, Underclass Hero is a really great album from Sum 41. I really, really want All Killer No Filler and Does This Look Infected especially. That's my favorite one of theirs. And Chuck on vinyl, but those are like very, very hard to get, especially the last two. But this is a great, great project. One that I feel like not a lot of people really paid that much attention to, but I think it's amazing. I really, really love this. Like, Best of Me and So Long Goodbye, like, just get me to cry, like, almost every time. Like, this one was a bit more emotional than their previous ones, but I love Sum 41. I really, really do. They were one of the... First off, they're repping Canada proud, which is awesome to see. And they were also one of the bands that came up at the same time as Blink-182, that was like that big Y2K pop-punk era that I love so much. Just really, really great band that sometimes I feel like they don't get the love that they really deserve because they've made some really, really great stuff. All right, I had to cut off the last clip because I was getting to have like only 3 minutes left, and I still have a few more records to talk about, so I needed to get the first clip moved onto my computer so I could then get rid of it on my phone and have more time to talk about these. So the next one we have here is Under Pressure by Logic. I'd say this is my favorite Logic album for sure. My favorite track on this one would have to be Gang Related. But then there's also like the title track, Nikki, Soul Food, lots of great stuff on this whole thing. I'd say Logic's definitely one of my favorite rappers. Like, I thought Confessions of a Dangerous Mind was actually pretty great. That's actually one of my favorite albums from him, and I actually do want that on vinyl, but it hasn't ever been put on there, unfortunately. This vinyl's pretty good, by the way, of Under Pressure. It's got the deluxe edition tracks, like it's got like the songs with Childish Gambino and Big Sean on here. Yeah, I definitely give this album a listen if you haven't heard it. Logic's one of those people, like, he's kind of like been rap's punching bag for the last few years, and it's honestly not fair, because Logic really is a great rapper, I think. And if you haven't listened to a Logic album before, I definitely recommend this one. I think you'd probably like it. And by the way, as for Underclass Hero, I'm not actually sure which one would be my favorite track because I haven't listened to the whole thing in a really long time. The next one I have not opened yet because I just got it a couple days ago for my birthday, and that is The Voice of the Heroes by Lil Baby and Lil Durk. If you guys saw my top 10 albums of 2021 video, you would have heard me talk about this. This was a really, really good project. Like, I didn't really like have any doubts that this would be good, but I was very surprised that it ended up being like this. Like, this had like a feeling that it was like a lot more important than a lot of other rap albums that have been released last year. It was also like a lot more emotional and serious uh, than a lot of like trap albums. Like, should I even really call this a trap album? I'm not sure, but I'd say How It Feels is one of my favorite tracks. Might be my favorite. I'm not quite sure yet because I really want to give this a second listen. And this also has to be one of my favorite album covers in a while. Like, I just love the way this is drawn. Like, how they're like just walking down the street, like in this like dark landscape. It almost gives me the vibe of like, two stoners walking home in 2008, probably gonna go into their houses and light up a joint and watch Robot Chicken on Adult Swim. That's the vibe this album cover gives me, and it looks amazing. Like, I love this album cover. But yeah, Voice of the Heroes, definitely check that one out. Now the next one I have is Volume 2 Hard Knock Life by Jay-Z. This is without a doubt the worst vinyl I've ever had, because okay, first of all, the intro track and the end track are hopeless to listen to. I've cleaned this thing multiple times and it keeps skipping. I don't know what the hell's going on with it, but the intro track and the ending track are completely hopeless. Can't even listen to them. I actually got this vinyl because I was like wanting to listen to it. Like, I was wanting to listen to the albums in Jay-Z's discography, and the clean version of this album is on Apple Music, which sucks. So I was like, well, I'm not going to get the CD because what if I like it? I might end up wanting the vinyl. So I just decided to pick up the vinyl, and yeah, as I said, not really a good quality one. There's also another song that I forget which one it is, that is also one of those ones where it skips. But as I said, the intro track and the ending track are the ones um that are a lot more of a problem than that. But my favorite track on this one would definitely be Hard Knock Life Ghetto Anthem, one of the best Jay-Z songs that's ever been made. Funny enough, Jay-Z won Best Rap Album for this album in 1999, but that year he actually boycotted the Grammys because DMX wasn't nominated for It's Dark and Hell is Hot, which I thought was very interesting. Because It's Dark and Hell is Hot is a great album if you haven't heard it. Next one I have has been one of the biggest albums of probably of the decade, because this thing's been talked about so many times, and it's just had like, just a lot of popularity and like stories around it. And that would be Whole Lotta Red by Playboi Carti. Now here's the thing with Playboi Carti, I was not a fan of him at first. Because that's the thing, I really did not like his first two albums. I was kind of left just unimpressed by them. Like, I really do like R.I.P. Fredo and Long Time off of Die Lit. I really like those because I really need to re-listen to his first two albums because it's been a while. But I really did not like those albums. I really did not. And then I remember when this came out on Christmas Eve of 2020. I remember like I was excited because I was like really hoping that I would really like this one, and I did. I wasn't like, because I was a bit worried because as I said, I didn't really like his first two, but I was like, so hopefully this will be good, and I was very pleasantly surprised by how good this one was. I remember like it was Christmas Eve, my parents had already gone to sleep, and I was excited for Christmas the next morning, and this surprisingly just came out. It was very, very, it was, so I have some good memories made with this album. It's a very enjoyable one. It has maybe it's a little bit too long, like because there's like what 24 tracks on this whole thing, but this is one that was like very, very divisive when it first came out, and now it's just like so beloved by people. Like Playboi Carti is definitely a cult rapper, that is for sure. My favorite track on this one would have to be Teen X. I really, really like that one. But Rockstar Made, Go to the Moon, Metamorphosis, Vamp Anthem, a lot of those are really, really good. Yeah, if you aren't a Playboi Carti fan, I'm not even sure if this would really convince you. I think maybe just because, everybody's tastes are different, but Playboi Carti is not for everybody. As I said, he is a very big, like, cult artist. And that's the thing. The people that love him really, really love him. As I said, I really like this album, but I really do need to give his first two albums another listen because I didn't like those personally. But I really enjoyed this one, actually. I thought it was pretty good. And then the next one is my fourth favorite album of all time, and that is Ye by Kanye West. As I said with Kids See Ghosts, this album helped me a lot, when I was like feeling down with stuff, when I went into 12th grade, I was very, very, there was, a lot of things that like happened to me at the time that was like, kind of upsetting, that I was like feeling really sad about, when I was like stressed about school or whatever. And this album really, really helped me a lot with songs like Ghost Town and I Thought About Killing You. Ghost Town is by far my favorite track off this whole thing. It's just beautiful. And then also Violent Crimes is an absolutely phenomenal song about Kanye talking about how his views on women have changed ever since he's been having daughters. He says some like really, really some pretty out there lyrics, like when he says, "Don't do no yoga, don't do Pilates, just play piano and stick to karate. I pray your body's draped more like mine and not like your mommy's." Like that lyric is nuts. Like that's so smart. That's something that's like very, very ballsy to say because you're probably like, oh, that sounds weird, but you get where he's coming from because the songs really how his views on women have changed ever since he's had daughters. Like there's a lyric on it where he even says, "Now I see women as something to nurture, not something to conquer." Yeah, generally a well-liked album, but I think it's really honestly perfect. Really, really is. Love this thing so much. I really wish I could have got one of the Wyoming hoodies when they came out, but I didn't get to listen to Ye for the first time until like I think maybe like 2 or 3 months after it first came out. And then the last vinyl for this vinyl collection is Question Mark by XXXTentacion. Oh, geez, that record almost fell out. I'd say, honestly, I would even say my favorite X album would be Bad Vibes Forever. I know that one's like really, really disliked by people. They think it was like incomplete. I personally really, really enjoyed it. The thing with X's music is when he was alive, all his music was short. Like he didn't make long albums, he didn't make long songs, and I felt like Bad Vibes Forever was something he might have made. Like Skins was good, but it was way too short even for him because it's like under 20 minutes and there's like 10 tracks on there. But Bad Vibes Forever was longer, and some of the songs were longer, and even though there's some moments where you can definitely tell, okay, this was definitely the label putting things together, I still thought it was really, really good. This one is a pretty good album. The thing that sucks, though, is I'm not as big into X as I used to be. I think maybe it was just because it was during a time when I was, like, a little bit more emotionally vulnerable, and his music like helped me through some stuff, because this album did help me um with like some like, you know, problems I had. I'd say my favorite song off of this would either have to be Sad or Money. I really like those. I also like Hope is a great one. I really love that, like, because he dedicates that to the kids that lost their lives in the Parkland shooting. Every time I hear him say that part, it gives me chills. I Don't Even Speak Spanish, Numb, Alone Part 3. Um, yeah, you know, this was also an album that also collected a lot of X's greatest strengths and put them all in here. Because, you know, he was a very versatile artist. He could sing, he could rap, he could, you know, he could play drums, he could do like metal stuff really well, like screamo stuff. And yeah, you know, as I said, not as into X as I used to be, but this is still a pretty good album. Definitely one that was very popular when it came out. One that I think will be remembered for a very long time. But yeah, guys, so that is the end of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. This is definitely a long video. I think as of at around the time it's at, I think it's maybe like 40 something minutes. So yeah, this is a very long video. So if you guys watched to the end, thank you. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. You know, I like watching people's vinyl collections. I figured it's about time I made my own. And as I said in the first part, that other vinyl collection video I made was not very good, because I was just like repeating the same crap over and over. And I did say some of the same things a fair amount during this video, but with the previous one, I just felt so insecure about like putting that up, and I just like kept on like literally saying the exact same thing, and like not like I couldn't figure out what to say at all, so it was a very awkward, weird one. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more content. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and remember, you guys, whenever putting on gloves, say no to drugs.